One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and love, the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal in me will never die. Wishing's report he pays his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning to all of you freaking legends out there. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. Let's get it. Great to see everyone, man. We have a big morning today, as you guys know. Trump rejects Iran deal that happened over the weekend, and we're going to get deep into that here in a minute. And then, of course, the virus alert, meaning the Hantavirus. We've got updates on that, and it has spread. And then we have Trump Z Summit as well. So listen, let me go ahead and give you guys a chronological breakdown of what we're going to be talking about this morning. First, we're actually going to put our attention a little bit into Russia, Ukraine. We have a little bit of an update. They agreed to a 3-day ceasefire. Now, today would be the third day, by the way. So we have that shit for you. I think this came out on Friday evening, maybe Saturday morning, something like that. But nonetheless, I think today's the third day. And then, of course, there's also been some violations as well. Then we have Hantavirus. American cruise ship passengers will quarantine in Nebraska. Why? They were like all the way over there in Spain and shit. Now they're bringing them over here to fucking Nebraska. Jesus. And then we have passengers evacuate Hantavirus hit cruise ship. It says passengers are being evacuated from the Hantavirus cruise ship. 3 passengers have died after contacting the illness on the ship in particular, right? As we already know that. And then President Trump to visit China amid the Iran war. This came out 20 hours ago. So that's yesterday, obviously. Weeks before his trip to China, President Donald Trump was already predicting on social media that his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, would, quote, give me a big fat hug when I get there. But Beijing's deep economic ties to Iran, as well as trade tensions over tariff threats stretching back to Trump's first term, could cripple the good feelings when Trump flies to Beijing this week. Even though the Republican president has years effusively praised Xi Jinping for years, making it clear that he sees China's leader as a competitor strong enough to warrant his respect and admiration, which is true. That is true. Then we have Trump slams Iran's response to peace plan proposal because he shot that shit down. He said, no way in hell are we doing this deal. There's no way. And then Americans disembark Hantavirus hit ship and head home to quarantine. And the reason why I bring this one up is because now governmental officials give an update on the Hantavirus cruise ship. They actually do like some sort of press conference. So we're going to listen to that as well. We have some updates from the CDC as well. Over 100 people now ill with the Norovirus on Florida-bound cruise ship. Now, as you guys know, we actually reported on how that there was 2 breakouts on 2 different cruise ships. Okay, one being the Hantavirus, as you guys know, that whole thing. And then there's a whole different virus that came out that broke out. And it happened like the day after the original breakout of the Hantavirus. Anyways, over 100 people ill with Norovirus on Florida-bound cruise ship. It says 4 hours ago. The Centers for Disease Control is reporting an outbreak of Norovirus aboard the Caribbean Princess cruise ship, which is due to arrive at Port Canaveral on Monday, which is today. According to a CDC report that was issued May 7th, 102 passengers reported being ill, along with 13 crew members. 13 crew members are also ill. Wow. So multiple outbreaks here. We got to be careful. Man, this is what I say. We need to fucking ban all cruise ships in the United States. No more can you be, loading and unloading passengers here in America. That's what I say. I say we legislate no more cruise ships. It's always a problem, bro. It's a suboptimal vacation anyways. So whatever. Trump rejects Iran's response to latest peace proposal, as you guys know. And you know what's funny about, the rejection is as soon as Trump rejected the peace plan, he made it known that he's rejecting it. And it was so funny because minutes later, like literally minutes later, the Iran government came out, the IRGC or whatever, and they came out and said, we have declined Donald Trump's peace proposal. You can't decline what you just sent as a proposal, Iran. Don't be playing that propaganda bullshit. We know what you're doing there. It's funny because some people well believe the bullshit. They'll be like, oh, Iran actually rejected it. What do you mean they rejected it? That's their proposal. They sent it to us. We said no. Then they came back over the top and said, we just rejected Donald Trump's peace proposal. What the fuck are you talking about? Anyways, then we have more cruise ship passengers test positive for hantavirus. This coming out just an hour ago. So there's even more that have unfortunately got it, sounds like. A French woman and an American tested positive for the hantavirus as nations around the world scrambled Monday, which is today, to repatriate passengers from a cruise ship hit by a deadly outbreak and quarantine or isolate them. All right, and then we have a very small update about the White House correspondent dinner shooter. The shooting suspect enters a not guilty plea. He's saying he's not guilty for trying to assassinate the president of the United States. Yeah, that's going to be a hard one to escape out of, dude. That's going to be hard. I mean, you even wrote a manifesto saying how you don't only want to just take him out, you want to take the fucking cabinet out, except for Kash Patel, which I thought that shit was super odd. But anyways, let's go ahead and get, pretty much right into it. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. We have a big morning, so I can't individually say hi to everybody. Let's do our call to actions and we'll get right into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button and double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. And it's free to do so. You know what else is free? Is hitting that subscribe button. That's what we do Monday through Friday. And then, of course, Saturday morning for members only, man. It's a great time. Speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $3.99 a month. Making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time breaking news, as well as the campaign trail, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all you legends. Make sure you guys go into the video description down below. There is an invite link. That's where we continue the conversation. Because we only go, we stay live for only about an hour. We're not like on here all day, every day, like kind of thing. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms there scrolling around the screen at any time. You guys can donate there, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, I'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat, and your voice will be heard. All right, so we're always, we're monitoring the emails. All right, great to see everyone, man. I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. Steve Posey coming in this morning to start off the morning, dropping a gifted membership, man. Not only helping me, but helping someone in the IWF, my man. Thank you very much for that. Great to see everyone. Guys, we got too much shit going on. We're going to have to get right into it. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their Monday morning so far. I definitely know that we are.
As there's a major announcement that
We're talking about Russia, Ukraine agreed to this 3-day ceasefire. Today would be the 3rd day, I think.
just came from President Trump a short time ago on his Truth Social site regarding the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Putting this up on your screen. As you can see there, President Trump putting out on his Truth Social site that there would be a 3-day ceasefire in the war between Russia and Ukraine that's expected to last from May 9th until May 11th to mark the end of the war two for the Russians. And so President Trump said that after a phone call with Putin on April 29th that a temporary ceasefire was in the works. Putin announced a similar truce last year that lasted 3 days but was not agreed to with Kyiv. And so putting this up on your screen, this is that full statement saying, I am pleased to announce that there will be a 3-day ceasefire May 9th, 10th, and 11th in the war between Russia and Ukraine. The celebration in Russia is for Victory Day, but likewise in Ukraine because they will also be a big part of World War II. The ceasefire will include a suspension of all kinetic activity, also a prison swap of 1,000 prisoners from each country. This request was made directly by me, and I very much appreciate its agreement by President Vladimir Putin and President Volodymyr Zelensky. Hopefully, it is the beginning of the end of a very long, deadly, and hard-fought war. Talks are continuing on ending this major conflict, the biggest truce World War II. Is he's referring to that. That's a part of what today this will be celebrating, and also getting closer and closer every day. Thank you for attention to this matter. I do want to put this up on your screen as well. It's there from Ukraine's president. He also has now responded, Volodymyr Zelensky, saying this just about 10 or so minutes ago. In recent days, there have been many appeals and signals regarding the setup for tomorrow in Moscow in connection with our Ukrainian long-range sanctions. The principle of symmetry in our actions is well known and has been clearly communicated to the Russian side. An additional argument for Ukraine in determining our position has always been the resolution of one of the key humanitarian issues of this war, namely the release of prisoners of war. Red Square is less important to us than the lives of Ukrainian prisoners who can be brought home. That is why today, within the framework of negotiating processes mediated by the American side, we received Russia's agreement to conduct a prisoner exchange in the format of 1,000 for 1,000. A ceasefire regime must also be established, should also be established on May 9th, 10th, and 11th. Ukraine is consistently working to bring its people home from Russian captivity. I have instructed our team to promptly prepare everything necessary for the exchange. I thank the President of the United States and his team for their productive diplomatic involvement. We expect the United States to ensure that the Russian side fulfills these agreements. Glory to Ukraine.
And there's already talks about how there was violations of that ceasefire already, the 3-day ceasefire. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get into the Hantavirus real quick. It's in a chronological order. So starting from basically over the weekend into current time today. So American cruise ship passengers will quarantine in Nebraska. Now, here's what I propose. I told you guys at the very top here, I think we should ban all cruise ships. I think that we should no longer deal with no fucking cruise ships in the United States. Too much of a fucking liability. It's a suboptimal fucking vacation anyways. Like, fuck those cruise ships, man. Like, I'm so over them. Anyways, let's go ahead and bring up this next story here, and we'll quickly get into it.
All right, that news developing earlier today. Of course, another big story that we're following as the Hantavirus remains a high priority topic due to the ongoing outbreak aboard a South Atlantic cruise ship, raising some significant concerns about its potential for human-to-human transmission. So joining us today to break this down is infectious disease Dr. Peter Chin-Hung. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us here.
Thanks for having me on, Anna.
Of course. So first things first, what likely happened on this cruise ship? Does this look more like maybe an onboard transmission where passengers were infected before boarding?
Yeah, so typically when we think about hantavirus, we think about a rat infecting a human through feces or saliva or urine. But in this case, what happened is that this is the only hantavirus where you can have human-to-human transmission. It's called the Andes virus. So a couple were likely bird watching in southern Argentina, where this virus is endemic. They were close to...
You know what I say? One thing, when they talk about them dropping them off at the United States and stuff like that to quarantine, why not just take them back to where the virus originated, right? Which in that particular strain, there's 9 different strains, and the one rare one which you can get from human to human contact. Okay, it's the one rare version, and it's the one that you see the outbreak going on right now. And it came from Argentina, right? It came from a landfill in particular from Argentina. So why didn't they just spin the ship around, go to Argentina, and let Argentina deal with that shit? Their dirty fucking You know, why don't they deal with it? Why do we always got to deal with everything? And then there's a fucking outbreak, and then all of a sudden now the rest of American citizens and the world have to suffer because of these fucking two Dutch idiots that got on a fucking cruise ship, wanted to go bird watching over by a landfill, get in contact with rat shit and piss, get sick, get on the cruise ship, and get everyone else fucked. Dude, this is why I can't say I love people. I don't. I hate people, but I love individuals.
A landfill where there were probably a lot of rats and mice. They were asymptomatic when they went on board because you can have a long incubation period up to 6 weeks, and then they infected other individuals on the ship unknowingly. So I think that's what's happening. I think the complication right now is that there were people who were let off on the boat sometime around April 24th or so, about 30 of them, before they knew it was hantavirus and before they knew it was potentially person-to-person transmission. So those people are kind of dispersed all over the world. They have to track them down. And the other complication is when the first person who died was evacuated out of the boat, there were individuals on that flight that might have been exposed. So again, what you're seeing now is investigations all over the world and extensive contact tracing.
How unusual is person-to-person spread in this strain of hantavirus, and how worried should the public be?
So in general, hantavirus, the virus that killed Gene Hackman's wife in New Mexico.
Wow, I didn't know that. But real quick, you know, people are saying, oh, you don't need to worry about it. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be that. I think people are belittling the situation. I mean, did you see how fast it spread already? Do you see how many countries are already affected? Do you see how many states are already affected in the United States? That's an issue. It just happened, you know? So a lot of people have been coming up and saying, oh, well, this is not something to really worry about, blah, blah, blah. No, it's something to definitely worry about, especially when it's got the kill percentage, you know, the chances of death when you do get it is extremely high.
Got a lot of
30 to 40%.
In California, where I live. It's not unusual to have it in high altitude areas like Lake Tahoe or Yosemite, occasionally, very rare. Never person to person. This particular strain is the only one in the family. It lives in southern Argentina and Chile that is potentially person to person. We know a lot about it throughout the years, but there was a large outbreak in 2018-19 where 34 cases were described.
Well, wildcard, they're already working on a vaccine. They already came out and said, they made an announcement that they're working on a vaccine right now. I'm not sure which company's doing it. I'm sure a lot of those companies are probably racing to do it, whether it be Pfizer, whether it be Moderna, whatever.
11 deaths. And most of the people didn't, transmit it. It was only in
probably Johnson & Johnson too.
3 super spreaders. So that's kind of what we know. We know that it's not easy to get. You have to be very symptomatic. It's in the setting of close contact. Because it's in the saliva, it can be spread through intimate contact like Mpox, but also in a crowded indoor setting with poor ventilation.
The research suggests that human-to-human transmission
I need some of
virus
this.
requires prolonged close contact. In the context of a cruise ship, were people maybe sharing dining tables, cabins, or elevators? I mean, how do you define
all
that
of it?
threshold?
Of course.
Is maybe just a handshake even enough to spread it?
Typically, it's in the context of, say, the ship is really perfect for transmission of lots of infectious diseases. We talk about Norovirus.
Yeah, same thing goes for like airplanes and stuff like that, of course.
All the time. The early cruise ships were associated, the early COVID pandemic cruise ships were associated with lots of transmission, Diamond Princess, Diamond Grand, Ruby Princess, etc. So I think right now the WHO is probably considering everybody on that boat a potentially close contact instead of the typical, well, I shared a dining room table with them, or I was, in a particular musical concert or performance with them on the boat because of those close confines to everyone. But out in the population, I think very low concern because, again, it's hard to get. And once you take...
See, this is where, the whole, where I keep hearing from people, these analysts and specialists, whatever, that this isn't really something to worry about. It's not really a thing to worry about. Don't worry. You're not going to get it. Listen, man, I'm when you tell me not to worry about something, now I'm actually going to worry about it based off of you telling me and everybody else telling me that I'm not supposed to worry about it. Now I'm going to fucking worry about it.
The symptomatic people out of the equation, as what happened in Argentina in 2018-19. you essentially eliminate the spread from person to person.
So there's some debate on whether this is purely through bodily fluids or if it can be airborne between humans. Based on the cluster that we are seeing now, do you believe that we might need to upgrade the personal protective equipment for healthcare workers from maybe those standard surgical masks to those N95s that we saw during the COVID era?
God.
I think that's a good question. Certainly I think at this point when it's unknown, I think healthcare workers will probably be wearing more upgraded masks to handle these individuals. That is an N95 versus say a regular surgical mask. What we do know so far is that when they analyze the genetic material from one of the people who had hantavirus in South Africa, they didn't find any mutations compared to what we know of from this virus from previous years, suggesting that it hadn't really learned new tricks, that it probably is, again, like you mentioned, on a close contact.
Yes, by the way, you guys don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world or here in the United States, but you guys can hit that like button for me over here and make sure, you double tap that screen on the vertical side for me and what we're doing here on Insane Wheels. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Through saliva or through droplets. So, very heavy bits of fluid that fall, and that's why, in the beginning part of COVID, we thought it was droplets, but we still think that with hantavirus, it's droplets. So again, social distancing would probably help.
Oh,
so
God.
All passengers are being treated as close contacts. In your view, is this maybe a standard response or an indication that we should be a little bit more concerned about the infectiousness of this specific strain?
I got you, Virginia Chaos.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Shit.
I think there are many unknowns, but my feeling is that it probably will act like what the sort of standard antivirus that we know of based on the past and nothing new. But the reason why I think people are just on a little bit more heightened awareness is that, again, there were these 30 people who left the ship early on, and they're all over the world. There are people who were on the same flight with some of the sick passengers before they knew they were ill, particularly the wife of the first person who died, for example. There was an islander who got infected in Tristan da Cunha when the boat stopped there, and some people got a ride to the next stop. So I think, again, until they close these loops, that's why people are a little bit more activated. But again, it's at the lowest level of the WHO concern right now, because we don't expect that it will percolate in the community like COVID did in the early days. This is not COVID. It's not measles. It's a very different situation. But again, I'm always humble about infectious diseases. And that's why we continue to look at this very carefully and follow this very closely.
And why are health officials?
So sadly, Alive, I agree with this. Not everything has to be about politics, right? I absolutely do agree with that. That's what it should be, what it ought be. But unfortunately, we live in what is, right? And so everything in this day and age, everything is just politics. Everything. It's sad. It doesn't have to be that way, but it is.
Saying that the risk to the broader public is still low.
Because
I agree.
Once you take the symptomatic people out of the equation, once you contact all of these folks who've been exposed potentially and they have no symptoms and you test them, for example, the flight attendant who was ill on the same flight as the wife of the first patient who died, she was symptomatic, but then eventually tested negative. I think, first of all, making sure everybody who was symptomatic doesn't have the virus. And then secondly, following people very closely who were potentially in touch to make sure they don't develop symptoms. Once you isolate and quarantine individuals,
Now, I wonder how long they are suggesting that they do this quarantine. Like, for COVID, it was 2 weeks, right? It was 14 days or something like that. It was 14 days, right? It wasn't 21. It was 14 days. I wonder how long they're suggesting for the hantavirus.
Symptoms quarantine to follow to see if they develop symptoms.
That's right, Jimmy Mac.
We don't expect that will lead to a domino effect because it's very, very inefficiently transmitted human to human. It's really meant to go from mouse to human or mouse to other mammals, but not human to human.
What's up, brother Sick Bastard? Good morning.
So we have seen, rapid vaccine development for other viral threats in recent years. Do you think that there is going to be one for this in the near future? Or is it not something that's very urgent?
I think that's a great question. I think it is possible that you can probably develop a mRNA vaccine very quickly to this, but
they already announced that they are doing it. What are you talking about? They already announced that they are trying to come up with some sort of vaccine for this.
Because it's so rare. For example, in the US, in general, with hantavirus, we only see about 30 cases per year, and it doesn't seem to be increasing. This is a very unusual situation. And again, I'd be very surprised if it progressed to more than an outbreak right now. Again, the WHO is not calling this, an epidemic. It's not certainly not calling this a pandemic. It's still defining this as an.
Well, the numbers haven't hit that yet. That's the whole thing is being able to control this. But see, bringing all these passengers back to the United States, go quarantine in Nebraska. Why not just take them back to where they originated the fucking virus from? Take them back to Argentina. Why did they need to come back to us? Why is it always the United States that has to deal with this?
Outbreak, which I agree with at this moment.
So for travelers who are heading to maybe South America or even rural parts of the U.S., what should they be asking maybe tour operators or hotels regarding rodent proofing?
Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway we can all learn from
there's 9 different strains, Jeremy. That's correct. And this one particular one that we're dealing with right now spreads human to human, which is correct. It goes airborne. All the other ones do not. You have to be in direct contact. But this particular strain, yes, you're right about that. It is easily transmitted
from this case. It's not the idea that we might get hantavirus in a boat, which is very, very unusual. I'll be shocked if that happens again. It's the idea of really rat-proofing boats. Boat operators are responsible for that. Making sure there's no rat feces, droppings, or mouse droppings. If we as humans,
dude, those rats didn't go onto the fucking ship. It's already been announced what happened. Okay, it's very simple. You had two people. You had a Dutch couple, man and woman, that was on this cruise, and before they departed from Argentina, they wanted to go bird watching. Where did they go bird watching at? At a fucking landfill. What's going to be in a landfill? A whole bunch of rats and shit. Yeah. Anyways, they got it there, got onto the ship, and then got everyone else fucking sick. And then before they realized that there was like an actual hantavirus breakout, along the way, they'd already dropped off at 6 different countries for people that were getting sick and ill, and they were taking them off the ship. That's why you see like all these different countries that are affected right now. It's because of that.
Interact or see rat droppings or mice droppings, not to sweep them. If it's in a poorly ventilated area, you open the window for about 30 minutes. Then you take a moistened paper towel, probably with bleach, gingerly remove the droppings with gloves on, wearing a mask, and not sweeping it. Rat proofing or mouse proofing your food in containers. And again, watching out for symptoms. This is really relevant to people who are, say, hiking and staying in cabins in rural parts of New Mexico or Arizona, Utah, Colorado, California, where we have hantavirus in the U.S. or in parts of the Americas.
All right, Dr. Chin Hong, thank you so much for your expertise. We really appreciate it here on.
All right, let's go ahead and move it on. We're going to quickly discuss about the passengers being evacuated from that hantavirus hit cruise ship. Let's see if they actually have any type of images of them actually coming off the ship. I'm not sure. Let's see.
We are going to discuss it together. Some breaking news, as we know that right now evacuations are currently happening for some of the passengers who were stuck on a cruise ship that was hit by a deadly outbreak.
Naomi, good morning. Great to see you in the chat. You've already missed a lot.
Outbreak of the hantavirus. Taking a look here at a social media post courtesy of the Associated Press. It says passengers started disembarking from the hantavirus hit cruise ship anchored off Tenerife in Spain's Canary Islands, hours after arriving there as evacuation plans got underway. We also have live images of that same cruise ship that, again, is still anchored off there off the coast of Tenerife. And I'm going to leave this on your screen while I also read up some more of this reporting courtesy of the Associated Press. They say the first plane carrying passengers evacuated from his cruise ship departed from Tenerife in Spain's Canary Islands on Sunday, so today, for Madrid. Well, they will go to a military hospital. Spanish nationals were the first to leave the MV Hondias, which remains anchored off Tenerife after arriving hours earlier, and they will be under quarantine after they reach Madrid. Spanish health authorities had to say that at a news conference earlier on this morning. Now, only Spanish nationals will quarantine in that country. The cruise operator, which is Ocean-Wide Expeditions, listed 13 Spanish passengers and 1 Spanish crew member that were still on board. Nobody among the more than 140 people on the Hondias is showing symptoms of the virus, according to Spain's health ministry, also the World Health Organization and the cruise company Ocean-Wide Expeditions. Passengers and some crew members of other nationalities will be evacuated throughout Sunday into Monday. There were people of more than 20 different nationalities on board.
Jesus. And yeah, let's just bring them to United States to quarantine, I guess, huh? I'll just smack them right in the middle of Nebraska.
Those disembarking and personnel
I don't know who comes up with, like, who clears that, but why are we clearing that?
working at the port of Granadilla in Tenerife were wearing protective gear during that evacuation process, including face masks, hazmat suits, and respirators. The cruise ship reached Tenerife early Sunday morning after leaving Cape Verde on May 6th. 3 people have died since the outbreak, and 5 passengers who left the ship are infected with Hantavirus, which can cause life-threatening illness. Everyone disembarking will be checked for symptoms and are being taken off the ship only once evacuation flights are ready to fly them to their destinations. Speaking of those evacuation sites, we still have this also, more live images of some of those planes that are ready to take some of these passengers to those destinations where, again, they will be quarantined. Now, the WHO Director General, along with Spain's health and interior ministers, they are supervising the operation in Tenerife. It's the largest of Spain's Canary Islands off the coast of West Africa. Authorities have said the passengers and crew members who will disembark will have no contact with the local population. Hantavirus usually spreads when people inhale contaminated residue of rodent droppings and isn't easily transmitted between people. But the Andes virus detected in the cruise ship outbreak may be able to spread between people in rare cases. Symptoms usually show between 1 and 8 weeks after exposure.
Look who decided to show up just now. Let's see. What are you doing? You say hi to the people? You say hi up there? What you doing? All right. She chilling. Lucy's chilling.
Now, we did have that news conference earlier today featuring health officials as they provided some key updates as these evacuations are underway and really what the next steps are to make sure that those passengers and everyone stay safe. Let's take a look.
We're going to see them disembark or what?
As you know, at 6:30 a.m. in the morning.
So this right here was actually something we were going to play here in a little bit. That's cool that they have it right here for us, the officials that are giving out this little briefing.
The boat has arrived at 7:30. A member of the Ministry of Health has boarded to assess the passengers. All the passengers are asymptomatic. They have confirmed this issue that all the passengers are asymptomatic. This in this unprecedented operation is going as planned. As at 9:30.
This was the big one that they did 9:30 a.m. their time over there, and then the rest of them are coming over to Nebraska.
In the morning, the Spanish passengers has started to disembark.
Only Spanish,
right now,
though. They said only Spanish passengers. They're only taking responsibility for Spanish passengers.
Plane going to Madrid has left, and the next passenger should to be the passengers of Netherlands. For France.
Real quick, we got Naomi coming in with the $5, the 5 spot. Always appreciate it. Saying late tax for oversleeping. Well, I very much appreciate you paying the tax. We always appreciate you, Naomi. Thank you very much.
Canada, Netherlands, UK, and Turkey, Ireland, and United States of America. Now, if you want, I'm going to give the floor to the General Director of the WHO. Thank you very much.
What's up, Bob? Good morning.
I think you have said it all.
You safe, Charles.
So the best would be to get their questions if they have nothing to add. As
I have nothing.
The operation has started.
I hate when they do this and they're like, "Yeah, I have nothing to add," and then he continues to speak. Well, then don't. If you say that you have nothing to add, then don't reiterate. Okay.
And going very well, and we appreciate the coordination by Spain, and EU is also here, and the support is already, as you can see it, and we hope everything will go as planned. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus. That was worthless.
How are you going to do the transportation? There is a Swiss passenger. Is he going to go today or tomorrow?
I don't know, the crew is...
The crew, it depends
it depends on
the plane.
Yes, it depends on the plane because 30 people of the crew is going to stay on the board. So it depends on the plane. It depends.
What's up, my man, Chrono? Good morning.
On the nationality of the crew.
So for Switzerland, not today. No
for Switzerland? Sorry, because we have many nationalities, we have many countries, and we have many boats. So if you want, I will give you the information.
Or military?
Which one?
The flights.
Which one? No commercial flights. No commercials.
Only
No.
military flights?
It depends on the country or similar, or charter or military. Okay, but no commercial. Okay.
Thank you very much. This is a question for Dr. Ghebreyesus, please. My name is Remy Inocencio with US CBS News. I appreciate that there are many passengers on this ship from dozens of countries, but this is a question for the United States. With passengers flying home to the United States, what is your message to Americans who are...
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're not bringing the ship all the way over they're not sailing it all the way over to the United States. That's right. They're gonna disembark by literally getting on a plane, which they already did, I think.
Still scared.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very important question. By the way, as part of the passengers, we have around 17 Americans.
What's up, Prez? Good morning.
Coming to your question, we have been repeating the same question, the same answer many times. This is not another COVID. And
What's
the
up, Jack?
risk
Good morning.
to the public is low.
I definitely agree.
Stupid.
So they shouldn't be scared and they shouldn't panic. This is based on how the virus is behaving now, because this virus is well known.
You know, I'm not exactly sure of the answer to that, Jimmy Mac, but I do know that it's not a United States vessel. So,
and there are
not
assessments
U.S.
that have been
flagged.
done. But not only that, this, for several years, there were assessments on the behavior of the virus. So that's why we say the risk is low. So I want them.
Yeah, this guy's talking out of his ass. As soon as he came up and said, "I have nothing to add," I knew that. And then he kept speaking. That's when you know, okay, this guy's full of shit.
To really take that, because based on scientific assessment and based on evidence, as Minister said, the risk is low. So they shouldn't.
They keep saying that the risk is low. The risk is low. Man, these guys are all fucking full of cap.
Stop the cap.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. President Trump to visit China amid Iran war. Let's go ahead and give you guys a quick rundown of what's happening, and we'll quickly discuss it. Here we go. Oh, you know what we haven't done, though? We haven't even done the money part. We got to do the money part real quick. We got to get that out of the way.
Just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Actual factuals, though. Yes.
Denied.
But I still love you guys. Here we go.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. As you're taking a live look at the White House, President Trump is set to travel to China later on this week to meet with the Chinese president, talking, among other things, about the Iran war and trade. I also wanted to share this with you. This is from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who said in advance of the president's historic summit with President Xi in Beijing, "I will depart on Monday for a quick series of meetings in both Japan and South Korea. On Tuesday, I will meet in Tokyo with the Prime Minister and Finance Minister and other government and private sector representatives for discussions on the U.S.-Japan economic relationship. On Wednesday, I will stop in Seoul for a discussion with the Vice Premier of China before continuing on to Beijing for the leaders' summit between President Trump and President Xi. Economic security is national security, and I look forward to a productive series of engagements as we work to advance President Trump's America First economic agenda." Another live look right here of the White House as we continue to look ahead to this historic visit, as President Trump is scheduled to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping during his visit to Beijing this week. Now, this comes as both countries are seeking to stabilize a relationship strained by tensions over trade, Taiwan, and the Iran war. Both countries are working on a board of trade mechanism aimed at finding products that will boost trade without compromising each other's national security or critical supply chains. The proposals include potential Chinese purchases of U.S. poultry, beef, and non-soybean crops, and a commitment to buy 25 million metric tons of soybeans for each of the next 3 years. The U.S. also wants China to buy Boeing aircraft and U.S. coal, oil, and natural gas. Now, at a moment when Washington is juggling the Middle East instability, economic friction with Beijing, and broader questions about global power alignment, the question is, what is President Trump most likely trying to accomplish with this trip? To talk more on this, I do want to bring in Gordon Chang, who is a senior fellow with Gatestone. And Gordon, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
What up, Chang?
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
So I did want to start off with that question in terms of what President Trump is hoping to...
I got something for him. Welcome to the show there, Chang.
Accomplish as he is set to meet with the Chinese president later on this week.
Every issue we have with China, we've got concerns, we've got complaints, we have sharp disagreements. It just covers everything. You're talking about Iran war, you're talking about Ukraine. There's also nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, Taiwan, human rights, Jimmy Lai of Hong Kong. The list just goes on and on.
What do you think is at the first and foremost on President Trump's agenda?
Must be the Iran war.
And that's very factuals right there. He wants, obviously everyone to buy from the United States.
Because this Iran war has gotten to a point where there is a ceasefire. But
our
we are
currency.
hitting the Iranians, and the Iranians are hitting us and our friends and partners. China is obviously has a role in this because it has been supplying Iran with diplomatic support, propaganda support, economic support, targeting information, weapons, almost across the board, everything except for combat personnel. And so this is going to be important to get China and Iran separated from each other, because China right now has a very large role in keeping Iran in this war.
And also, on the side of China, they also are being impacted by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So as President Trump looks ahead, as one of the priorities, of course, is the ongoing war, what might the strategy be in terms of separating China and Iran as the two countries are working very closely together?
You use economics against them. That's basically it.
I think this really involves matters that
supply and
don't
demand
necessarily affect Iran, but would certainly be, or not related to Iran, but certainly would affect Iran. So for instance.
Yes, make sure you guys follow what Naomi's saying. We got over 160 people in the vertical side. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen. I very much appreciate you guys. You don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that.
We know that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been threatening to invoke Section 311 of the Patriot Act to disconnect Chinese banks from dollar accounts because of their money laundering activities, because of their support for Iran. And that, I think, would have a big effect on getting the Chinese out of the conflict. So there are a number of things that are peripheral that China really needs from the United States. And I think that if President Trump were to leverage those, then he might be able to make some headway on Iran. On Iran itself, there is the oil. China gets 45 to 50% of its imported oil through the Strait. It's not getting it now, and it's certainly not getting the discounts that it has enjoyed. And by the way, it's not getting Venezuelan oil at a discount either. So this has a material effect on portions of the Chinese economy.
Everything's at full price, bitches. All right, so let's go ahead and bring it into Trump slams Iran's response to peace plan proposal. So this is an interesting thing that happened over the weekend. Trump sent basically a peace proposal to Iran, and Iran sent it to Trump. And so Trump looked at it and he said, there's no way we're going to deal with that. No way. So we're going to decline that. So he told everyone, hey, I declined this proposal. This is some bullshit, right? And then Iran, minutes later, comes out and says, Trump we have declined Trump's peace plan proposal. What do you mean? How can that happen when you're the one that sent the proposal to Trump? And now they're trying to flip the script, saying that all of a sudden they are the ones that declined Trump's proposal. So it's complete bullshit. What actually happened is Trump received a peace plan proposal from Iran, and he said, fuck no. That's what happened. Anyways, let's go ahead and bring up this ordeal here, and we'll quickly get into it here. Also, you know what, Iran, on this particular one, you definitely got to embrace your fuck up.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
If you're going to cap, make sure you do it to the point where, people can't trace it. Timestamps are a thing on the internet.
Welcome back in here to Alive Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. New developments in the ongoing conflict in the Middle East as the United States reviewing the proposal sent back from Iran about a more long-term permanent ceasefire. President Trump calling it unacceptable. This on Truth Social within the last several minutes, saying, I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And this goes as we're continuing to follow the latest with this region. Iran sending this response back to the United States via Pakistani mediators, saying they wanted to focus on permanently ending the war. President Trump also on Truth Social accusing Tehran of, quote, playing games, and also saying there will be no laughing matter. And it's a very fragile ceasefire in place right now. Iran seeks to end the war on all fronts, including in Lebanon, where Israel is fighting the Iran-backed Hezbollah militant group, and to ensure the security.
Yo, real quick, I'm sorry for getting this a little late. My man VC coming in hot on the Cash App, bro. I can't thank you enough for the support, man. He says, hit the goddamn like, people. Yes. Hit that like button. Double tap that screen. Virginia Chaos, thank you very much for the 10 spot, my man. Very much appreciated. It goes a long way.
Shipping. Washington's latest proposal addressed a deal to end the war, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and the rolling back of Iran's
Patterson, good morning.
nuclear program. So
lot going on.
Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has been not seen or heard publicly since the war began, saying they, quote, issued new and decisive directives for the continuation of operations and the powerful confrontation of the enemy. So we've seen this very fragile ceasefire tested when drone ignited a small fire on a ship off Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. Kuwait reported drones entering their airspace. The UAE said it shot down two.
Are you talking about the current Ayatollah now? Basically the Ayatollah's son. Yeah, I don't know. There's been handwritten messages from him, supposedly, you know, but no one's actually seen him in the public yet, if you're specifically talking about him. Ever since the rumors about him losing a leg, or first it was just him being injured, critically, you know, he was injured pretty bad, and then there was rumors about him losing his leg. I also lost my leg in a traumatic accident, and trust me, if he lost his leg, you know, 65 whatever days ago it was, I can promise you that he's not going to be able to be out in the public walking around and stuff like that. That's not going to be a thing yet. He's not even going to have a proper prosthetic yet.
Drones.
Just from the recovery aspect of a normal amputation, when they go in and cut themselves, they actually are able to kind of the inflammatory aspect of all of it, they're able to reduce a lot of that because they're surgically doing it. But when it happens in a traumatic level, it takes forever for it to, you know, the inflammation going down. It takes forever.
And blamed Iran. No casualties were reported, and no one immediately claimed responsibility. So obviously, we'll see what happens in terms of the energy artery there, the Strait of Hormuz, and any developments this week, as we've seen CENTCOM saying it does not reach the level of ending the ceasefire at this moment, despite some bombardment from both sides, saying they were just acting in self-defense. Let's continue on, though, back here at home following some major top headlines. A live look in New York City here on this Sunday, just about 4:30 local time. Again, a live look in Washington, D.C. at the White House. We're also talking a lot about the redistricting effort in so many different states, Texas, California, Florida, Tennessee, and now Virginia. Some developments as a court has rejected some of those efforts, saying they are not in place, saying they're struck down this new map in Virginia. Let's take you out to our Fox 5 team.
Well, we'll talk about that later, about more of the gerrymandering shit that's going on. But anyways, we're going to get into Americans disembark, Hantavirus hit ship, and head home to quarantine. So let's go ahead and bring that up. First, we got Mr. Al Patterson gifting out 5 gifted memberships. Yo! Thank you very much, kind sir. Not only helping me, but helping 5 others in the Insane Wheels family, man. I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this next whole story here. Let me bring it up here first. There we go.
And we have had a very good collaboration with all the governments, with all the institutions. It has been very, very, very nice. Thank you very much.
All right, just listening in there to officials outside of this vessel in the Canary Islands, just about 10 o'clock local time, as they talk about this massive international evacuation underway from this Hantavirus outbreak aboard the cruise ship now stationed off the coast of West Africa, that territory being the Canary Islands. More than 140 passengers, 18 of whom are Americans, and crew from 20 countries being flown back home under strict health protocols. But that also coming into question as the WHO saying they, quote, we advise they don't impose. But there's some strict guidelines that they are talking about. And I want to put this up from the WHO, the World Health Organization, saying technical note for this disembarkation and onward management of passengers and crew in the context of the Andes virus associated cluster and the Honduras. They have a list of some of those guidelines. The CDC also putting out some of what they have, saying in addition to working with the international partners, the CDC, since the start of the Hantavirus cruise ship outbreak, has activated Emergency Operations Center to support response activities, deploying a medical team to the Canary Islands to assess the American cruise ship's passengers. As Americans flown back to Nebraska will have to quarantine for some time, but some questions about exactly how they will do that in hospitals, at home.
I would like to know how long they're proposing, how long people need to quarantine for. You know, is it kind of the same as like what COVID was? What, 14 days or something? I wonder what they're going to suggest, the actual how long it's going to be.
Let's be joined right now from Stanford, an instructor on infectious diseases, friend of the program, Abrar Karan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And obviously the quarantine, to make sure this doesn't become a larger issue, is important. How critical are the next few days and weeks for these various different quarantine protocols from countries?
Well, is absolutely critical. This is a problem that we anticipated, which is that when you have multiple countries involved, when you even have multiple states involved, the protocols that they actually implement themselves. Because remember, states here are.
Well, I mean, you already risk going past a epidemic. You're going into into pandemic level.
The implementing partners, right? And every state public health department has different approaches,
But
different
there's
philosophies
not the
on how
numbers
they
yet.
interact.
There's not enough numbers yet for it to be an actual pandemic. So I'm not fear mongering. I'm just telling you guys that this is how it starts, you know? So
With people, how they view infectious diseases.
they really messed up by disembarking, at multiple countries before they realized that they had the hantavirus on board. So now you have multiple countries automatically off the rip, 6 countries affected, right? And then now let's bring everybody else home, everyone else on that fucking ship, except for any Spanish passengers. All of them come to Nebraska. I get, like, why?
WHO has put out their recommendations, and I think they're being conservative, which is the
Who
right
makes
approach,
those calls?
to say that if you are a contact of somebody that was infected on the ship, you should have 42 days of monitoring. You have quarantine where a public health
42.
department checks in on you every single.
Wow, 42 days of monitoring. Whoa.
Being conservative, which is the right approach, to say that if you are a contact of somebody that was infected on the ship, you should have 42 days of monitoring. You have quarantine
Wow.
where a public health department checks in on
And you
you
were right on spot right there, Steve Easy. Damn.
every single day. They say either you can do it in a facility or you can do it at home. But I do have some issues with the latter because, I've actually run a study on COVID transmission within homes. And in that study, people were supposed to be isolating. And I saw it was.
Oh, that also does make sense that we would have a particular place set up for quarantining, anything, any type of virus, right? So it would make sense that we would have that. But why are we taking other people's passengers and shit dealing with this? Like, God damn it. Take them back to where this shit was originated. It was happening in Argentina. Take them back to Argentina. Let them deal with it.
Functionally impossible for people to actually do this well in home for a week, let alone for 42 days. So we can talk more about that, but that's one of my biggest concerns.
Yeah, and obviously a concern because they don't want this to spread. And they were saying that people are human. Some of these passengers are elderly people that have tough time wearing the mask and doing that isolation and that social distancing that is so very crucial. Just in terms of the WHO and the CDC, are they overlapping? Is that basically what the CDC is advising, similar to what the WHO is?
Okay, so you're the dumbass, by the way, JR there. Listen, Junior. What the truth is there's 9 different strains. 8 strains are not human to human. You can't catch it that way. This is the one rare case, the one rare strain of this virus that is transferable by human to human. Okay. So the original reports that you're listening to is bullshit, by the way. Why don't you see, there's a reason why you're on that side of the screen and I'm on this side of the screen. People are watching me. How's your channel doing? Fucking nothing? Oh, that's what I thought.
The CDC perspective, they're saying, okay, we're going to have return travelers. Some travelers have already returned to their states from before when they disembarked the ship later in April. And they are supposed to be in quarantine. They're supposed to be getting monitored from the CDC
What's
and
up,
the state
Fidel?
health
Good
departments.
morning.
And now you have the second cohort of people that have been on the ship longer and are coming back. They're supposed to make this pit stop in Nebraska at the biocontainment unit, but it's not clear that they're going to be staying there for the entire quarantine period. Seems like they're actually going to be from there back to their homes and either isolated if they're, or quarantined for these next days. And I can say that what the recommendations are here is that if you don't have symptoms, that you're, it's a little bit reactive, saying we're going to wait. And if you do have symptoms, then we'll kind of take this a little bit more seriously. Remember, the early symptoms are non-specific. If you're watching this right now, how many times do you wake up in the morning saying, yeah, I feel like something's a little bit off, and then you're better later in the day? We can't take these kind of chances, because here, what could be like a common cold or feeling like I have allergies might be the start of.
So tell me where it originated from. Tell me the story, because I know the story. I've already said it twice on this live stream. I've explained the story twice. So let's see if you know the story. You tell me the story.
Hantavirus, right? So it's a different.
Let's see how knowledgeable you are.
You mentioned some of those mild symptoms because a French citizen already aboard one of those planes back at home, they experienced them basically aboard this, returning back to home. They didn't feel very concerned, and some reporters even asked about that, the concern level with an individual that disembarks the boat, but then also has these mild symptoms. Does that concern you?
It does. I mean, it is concerning. So, of course, not every mild symptom necessarily means that this person has hantavirus, but in this situation, every mild symptom has to be taken extremely seriously.
Of course. I mean, this is something that actually you're going to have organ failure from, and that's why it's one of the biggest, a big killer. If you get it, you have a 30-40% chance of death, actually, which is extremely high. Okay, let's go ahead and go into another outbreak that we're watching happen, and this is the Norovirus. Now, this is something that happens. It's not as such a big deal, but it does happen kind of yearly. But over 100 people ill with the Norovirus, on Florida-bound cruise ship. Now, this happened like just a day after the whole outbreak of the Hantavirus thing. So it was like boom, boom. It happened side by side. So let's go ahead and bring this up, and we have over 100 people ill with this Norovirus. Another cruise ship.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, and you are taking a live look there over Port Canaveral. As you know, we've been tracking the Hantavirus very extensively here on the program with that cruise ship having that outbreak, but there is also another cruise.
How come you didn't tell me what the story was? Are you giving up?
Cruise ship that is docking today that has been experiencing an outbreak of Norovirus. So another cruise ship that is also experiencing.
Yep, we're going to be going into OT today, so that's a fact, Jack.
Some illnesses on board. We do have this X post here, courtesy of Fox 35 Orlando. It says more than 100 people were affected by a Norovirus outbreak aboard the Caribbean Princess cruise, according to a CDC report. And what we want to do next.
Always appreciate you, Pops. Always appreciate you. Thank you.
Is get right out to our Fox 35 Orlando reporter, Amanda Ruiz, to tell us all about it. Amanda, what do we know?
Good morning, Bowen.
So I undershot it. I said 30 to 40%. So yeah, wow, with a 40% mortality rate, that's crazy. And that's not regarding Norovirus, everybody. That's regarding the Hantavirus.
Well, that ship just docked here around 5 this morning, so about 40 minutes ago. And the passengers are not expected to get off the ship until 8 this morning. This all comes as the CDC investigates a Norovirus outbreak on board the Caribbean Princess cruise ship. Now, the CDC says 102 passengers and 13 crew members reported symptoms. The outbreak was reported May 7th, just days before the ship's designated arrival date here at Port Canaveral. Princess Cruises says it's increased its cleaning and disinfection procedures. It's also isolated sick passengers and crewmates and will conduct a full deep cleaning of the ship before its next voyage. Now, we spoke to Dr. Jason Littleton, and he explained that the Norovirus isn't uncommon and symptoms typically resolve in just a few days, but it is highly contagious, which is why it can.
Right. It's kind of like isn't it like a bad version of the flu, basically?
Spread easily on a ship if proper sanitary measures are not taken.
I know, Steve Easy. It's wild to me, actually. But
cruise ships are ready for things like this. They have protocols in place.
Man, the reporter on the Fox side needs to mute herself when she's playing those clips, because all we can hear is her background noise. Sorry, I can't help it when it comes to fucking bad audio.
Bruh.
Now, again, the crewmates and the people that are sick, we're unsure if they're going to get off first or if they're going to get off second. What's going to happen with the passengers who are not experiencing symptoms? We do not know that right now, but we do know that they're expected to all disembark by 8 in the morning, and we'll keep you updated. For now, reporting at Port Canaveral, Amanda Ruiz, Fox 35 News.
Amanda, thank you so much for that live report, and we'll make sure to stay on top of it. Thank you so much.
Yep. Obviously, that's what we're going to be doing here. Any story that we bring up, of course, we do our best to follow them. All right, so let's go ahead and get into a little bit of this. The there's probably not much information that we're going to garnish out of this report. We'll see. I'm going to skip through and see if we can get anything out of it, because we've already discussed Trump rejecting Iran's response to that latest peace proposal. So anyways, let's go ahead and just see if there is some information in here. Maybe there's some posts from governmental officials. Let's go ahead and see.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, and you are taking a live look there at the Strait of Hormuz ship tracker, courtesy of Marine Traffic, as we continue to follow the latest developments in the Middle East and those ongoing
What's up,
conflicts.
2-4? Good morning.
As President Donald Trump on Sunday sharply dismissed Iran's multi-page proposal, signaling potential and continued deadlock in negotiations to end the war, saying, I have just read...
Yeah, she was purdy. What that mouth do, though?
The response from Iran's so-called representatives, I don't like it, totally unacceptable, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. And to talk more about this and the latest with the ongoing conflicts over in the Middle East, we want to bring back onto the program Dr. Asaf Ramarowski, who is the
Be good out there, Cameron. We always appreciate you as well, by the way.
Director of Scholars for Peace in
Be good
the
out
Middle
there.
East. Dr. Asaf, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, I really like Dr. Asaf, but I really don't need his any type of analysis on this, to be honest. We've already covered what we know. Let's see if there's any posts from any governmental officials. Oh, there is a post from Reuters.
Presidents are set to discuss Iran, Taiwan, artificial intelligence,
this
and
week.
Nuclear weapons as they weigh extending a critical minerals deal, according to U.S. officials previewing Trump's two-day visit to China this week. We covered a lot of ground here today. Is there any final thoughts you have here with President Trump's visit here and what they are set to discuss?
No, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I think the fact of the matter is that AI is a major concern as far as the AI intelligence.
We already know all of that. All right, we're going to move on into this update this morning. More cruise passengers test positive for Hantavirus. This comes out just right before we started the live stream, about an hour before we started this morning. So this is an update. A French woman and an American tested positive for the Hantavirus as nations around the world scrambled Monday, which is today, to repatriate passengers from a cruise ship hit by a deadly outbreak and quarantine or isolate them. All right, let's go and bring this up and we'll see what's being reported this morning.
Express our deepest condolence to the
Okay,
family
they're coming out and doing another press conference.
of the civil guard officer who died yesterday after a cardiac arrest.
Damn,
We
yeah, cardiac
know
arrest.
that hundreds of public servants are working on this operation, and we want to thank all of them. Thank you for the press. More than
Oh, that reminds me, we are now in overtime. You know what they say about overtime? No tax on tips and no tax on overtime, man. So let's fucking get it. Send in your donos, man. Let's get it.
400 journalists are working here to share transparent and rigorous information. In these health alerts, you are health agents. So thank you very much. Thank you for the people of Canary Island, of course, for their commitment and their solidarity. And now I will give you the epidemiological update. As you know, French authorities has confirmed a passenger with symptoms and positive PCR, and American authorities have confirmed one passenger with symptoms and another with low positive PCR. The operation update is that we have refueled the boat and we will provision the ship throughout the morning, this morning. Now there are 54 passengers and crew on
Remaining.
the boat.
Okay, 54 passengers and crew remaining.
We are expecting 2 planes, but now we know that there will be only 1 plane.
Only 1 plane to bring them to Nebraska.
This afternoon, predictably, 22 people will disembark and take the plane of Netherlands. Finally, only the plane of Netherlands will arrive here to Canary Island, and then finally we will disinfect our port according.
Okay, they're only talking about their side on this particular thing, because just so you guys know, the way that they worked, I guess, Spain or whatever, Spain only took Spanish passengers. They didn't take any other passengers. Now they are I guess sending people over to the Netherlands, I guess, but that's, I misspoke when I said to Nebraska. I need to know the number of passengers that were sent to Nebraska? That's what I want to know.
Into the health protocols. Thank you very much.
Hello, Miley Hogan from 7 News Australia. Are you saying that the Australians will now go on the flight to the Netherlands?
Sí. Yes, because the plane from Australia have problems and
It has problems. So I guess Australia was supposed to take some too, huh? What the fuck is going on here? Why are we breaking them all up? I don't understand that idea.
It is all the governments we have shared that it's better to the people of Australia and Netherlands, and New Zealand.
They should all be fucking handled right there in Spain. That's, they're already there. Fucking you guys handle that shit.
Plane with
Let's just send them all out.
Spain.
We're only taking.
Are they feeling okay,
Spanish.
the Australians? Have you been able to speak to them? Is morale high?
We don't know, but this is the operation. We know that this is a very complicated operation, and we were expecting 2 planes, and finally we will have only 1 plane.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
God, this is so frustrating.
Briar Stewart, CBC News, Canadian Broadcasting. I know it's not unexpected that there are more cases, but because there are now more positive cases of hantavirus, will anything change in terms of what's being done after they come off the boat and right here as they're assessed?
¿Cómo que sí?
Llegaremos a una evaluación más que seguirá Galona, pero que en principio no hay nada para cambiar.
We will expect all the scenarios. We are prepared to respond to all the scenarios, to all the cases, and
No, only the Spanish cases.
if the cases appears, we will make all the protocol and assess all the people, no? But I think that we have to ensure
exactly.
that all the protocols will be assessed in all the countries to monitoring all the persons, all the people.
Yo, real quick, my man VC Virginia Chaos sending in another Cash App. By the way, he's like carrying all of you guys. He sends in 420, says overtime dollars. Yes, sir. Very much appreciate that. Listen, I very much appreciate you send a little love and support to the Cash App, my man. That shit does add up quick.
Nadia Ali from Japanese news broadcaster TV Asahi. So currently you said there's 54 passengers and crew on the cruise. I wanted to ask how many are passengers and what nationalities are, or as in how many nationalities of those passengers?
Now I think for Australian, 1 New Zealand, 1 British, and the other one are the other are crew. Only 6 passengers, and the other one are crew. And I think that the
What's up, Sterling Wheel? My man, good morning.
nationality of the crew is very varied. 4 Australian, 1 New Zealand, and 1 British. Thank you very much. But if you want, we will give you all the information. Thank you.
And then the rest of them are coming to fucking Nebraska.
Yeah, Jesper Steinmetz from TV2 Denmark. Apologies if you've already answered these questions in Spanish, but when do you expect the evacuation to be completed? When do you expect the last plane to take off for the Netherlands? And when will the ship actually depart?
All the question before 7 o'clock in the afternoon.
But more specifically?
More specifically, we
I think the ones that were going to Nebraska actually landed yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
we don't know, but before 7 o'clock.
And why 7 o'clock?
Because it's the time. It's the time that we.
It's the deadline you've
yes,
set.
It's the deadline.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Extra surprise. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
All right,
So
they're
you
ending
heard
it
there-
there. All right, we're going to move on. We're going into the White House correspondent dinner shooter. The shooting suspect enters a not guilty plea for attempted assassination of the president, which we know is cap. I mean, we know by his manifesto. We actually read it live, how he was planning on taking out Trump and the rest of the cabinet, except Kash Patel, which I still have not been able to figure out why Kash Patel would be like the exception for that guy. But anyways, Let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll quickly get into it. Here we go.
My name is Josh Breslow, and I do want to get you right back to this breaking news that we are following coming out of the federal courthouse there in D.C. You can see it on the right-hand side of your screen as things are fairly quiet. But just moments ago, Cole Allen, the man suspected, accused of attempting to assassinate President Trump just weeks ago, did appear in federal court and entered a not guilty plea on all 4 charges against him. I want to take this full to give you a better look outside right now as, again, things are fairly quiet. A federal prosecutor saying that Allen was armed with guns and knives when he stormed past security at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in an attempt to kill President Trump. Now, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, posted some video which appears to show Cole Allen running through a metal detector. Here, take a look at that on your screen at this hour. You can see that all playing out on your screen.
Let's get the lights up, everybody.
He pointed his weapon at a Secret Service agent who is seen firing, and prosecutors say the agent was shot in the bulletproof vest, injured there. Allen's lawyers previously argued in court for bond to be set, but ultimately on Thursday of the week.
Wild card, I also got you.
Stupid. Before Allen agreed to remain in jail as he awaits trial. The Associated Press reports the distance from the metal detectors to the podium there where President Trump was seated was a little over 350 feet with 2 sets of stairs, a doorway, and more armed Secret Service officers guarding the president. The Associated Press also reporting that a social media profile for a man with the same name and a photo that appears to match the suspect lists him as working part-time for the last 6 years at a company that offers admissions counseling and test preparation services to
Now, mind you, this came out minutes before we started the live stream this morning, by the way.
aspiring college students. The AP also saying in a message sent to family members just minutes before the attack, Allen described himself as, quote, a friendly federal assassin. The Associated Press says it reviewed a copy of the message, which did not name President Trump directly, but denounced the recent actions by his administration and the U.S. government in general. Now, we do have a bit of information coming in from inside the courtroom. Here's what we have. Cole Allen pleading not guilty to all 4 counts against him. Judge Trevor McFadden asked Allen's defense attorneys about the scope of their motion, asking U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro and acting AG Todd Blanche to recuse themselves from the case. Cole Allen's public defender, Eugene Ohm, told Judge McFadden that the motion asks for their recusal if they are acting in a supervisory role in the prosecution, saying it's likely they would be asking for U.S. Attorney Pirro's entire office to be forced to drop off the case. However, Mr. Ohm said it was unlikely they would ask for the entire DOJ to...
That's what I said. I mean, good luck with that. I mean, we read the manifesto live on this show, actually, when it first happened, when that manifesto first came out on the news or from different reports.
Step off that case as part of the request for Blanche to recuse himself. Again, this is all happening here at this hour inside of the courthouse. So we're getting a lot of the details from the reporters who are inside providing that information.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe that shit. I couldn't believe that judge apologizing. Yeah, that was brutal.
However, cameras not allowed inside of the courtroom as all of this is going on. So we will keep you updated on Live Now from Fox.
And of course, this is what we do. We follow all of these stories. Anything that we bring up onto the channel, of course, we do our best to follow the stories. So listen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough. I can't, you guys show an immense amount of love and support, engagement, all of that. Hit that like button on the way in or on the way out. Very much appreciate it. Double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. Also, stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Black Dragon. He's live right now, and he's actually taking a whole different direction of his channel. He's going to be changing up a lot of his the way that he does his show. He's changing up everything. I guess he's going to be doing different topics, whole bunch of stuff. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Let them know we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. Anyways, until tomorrow morning for more of the world's madness. God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Much love, honor, respect, everybody.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burns.